Welcome to Elite Yoga's recovery sessions for cyclists. I'm Claire, your yoga instructor. I've been doing yoga for 30 years and I've been teaching for over 20 years. And primarily, I have been teaching athletes, including the Sydney Swans for 12 years and also a cycling group called Cyclist. I was a professional athlete myself. I was a professional modern dancer and I danced around the world. Principal dancer of 2 companies amongst that as well. So I've had my fair share of injuries and having to put myself back together again. And if you don't have a practice, even if you've never had an injury, which is pretty unlikely if you've been serious about sport, you need to do something that exercises and strengthens and lengthens your whole body. So learning this and continuing your personal growth, it'll help you in your sport, refresh your legs so you can go faster and harder, which is, I'm sure, what you'd like to do. So we're going to begin and we're going to start on your back, lying down with your legs together in line with your tailbone. We're going to lift your right knee up to a 90-degree angle, and then you're going to take your left hand on the outside of your right knee and your right arm out to the side, and you're going to turn your pelvis and your lower back to the left. And so you want to think about it as if you were standing on the floor. The energy is so have a feeling of stretching lightly up through the crown of your head and your bum bones, your sit bones, pressing just lightly down to the front of your mat. So there's a stretch in opposite directions of the spine. Both the shoulders are on the floor, so making sure you don't turn your shoulders lifting off this right shoulder. It stays down and lightly pressing down. Okay, come on back to the center and stretch your leg down, lifting up your left knee, right hand on the outside of your left knee, turning your pelvis to the right. So the thing that changes your body the most is awareness. And so being able, it's unlimited. In the end, awareness is about being able to firstly understand, and so you're studying the body, then to integrate that awareness into the body. For example, can you feel the back of your left shoulder lightly pressing down? And can you feel your elbow down? And then can you feel you're reaching out lightly through the left hand? That, now you've accessed the correct awareness through your left arm. Come on back to the center, placing both feet together and then crossing your right foot above your left knee. So it's always to live through the body. At the moment, whatever's happened to your body in the last however long, you're going to place your hip bones so that they're square, and this is called in Pilates a neutral pelvis. So making sure that you're not twisted in the pelvis. Pelvis is neutral, and then the right thigh bone is turning outward. And that's experienced as, so this is external rotation of your hip. That's experienced as your right knee pressing forward to the front of the mat. Still lengthening lightly as if you had just a string attached to the crown of the head, lengthening up through the crown of your head and down through your sit bones. Now you're going to draw in the muscles from the tail to the navel, in and up lightly. Okay, in yoga this is called Mula Bandha. Pick up your left foot, reaching through, catching hold of the front of the shin or behind your, so on the back of your thigh. Okay, whichever is more comfortable, but make sure your pelvis hasn't come up off the floor. So firstly, using your awareness to feel if it has, and if it has, just lightly roll it down as best as you can towards the front of the mat again. Keeping your right thigh bone lightly pressing out still and drawing in the muscles from the tail to the navel. So those muscles are the anus and pelvic floor, the lower abdominal wall, called the transversus abdominis. It's a collection of muscles that draw in and up towards your diaphragm, and that's called Mula Bandha, which means the root lock in the body. Place your left foot down and your arms out to the side in line with your shoulders and turn your pelvis to the left. And so you're keeping the shoulders, the backs of the shoulders down on the floor. And now this is another pelvis and lower back rotation. This is one that will really help free up the sciatic nerve chain that runs from your L4, L5 down through your piriformis muscle and down through hamstring. If you go all the way, you're going to press down your right big toe and then open the knee, press it slightly forward to the front of the mat. And that's what helps to separate the muscles there, because when they get too tight, the sciatic nerve gets trapped, and that's what creates that radiating pain. Come on back and place your foot down. It can even cause lower back pain. With your left foot crossed above your right knee, neutral pelvis, and then rotating the left thigh bone out, and compare this side to the other side. So mentally just take note, today, right now, how is this side compared to the other side? Okay, picking up your right foot. And it's important that you don't mask. So as you're going through the yoga, I'm trying to teach you very quickly how to create balance in your body and not mask it doing the poses, not just go, you want to put your body into the pose and to not sort of fake it unwittingly, I should say, fake it so unknowingly. Okay, that happens a lot because that won't get rid of the issues and create new perfect patterns in the body, postural patterns. Place your right foot down on the floor, arms out to the side, and we're turning to the right. So yoga will build a strong, supple body through correct knowledge and action. So pressing down your left big toe and opening the left knee towards the front of the mat. Reaching out through the hands without the elbows coming up, so the backs of the elbows staying down. And come on back using Mula Bandha. And taking your strap, you're going to place the ball of your right foot in the strap. And if you don't have a strap, just use a belt. If you don't have a belt, a towel is fine today. Just throw it around your foot. Okay, so with the ball of the foot in the strap, you're going to spread your toes and you're going to press into the strap. Okay, now lengthen up through the crown of your head and stretch your sit bones. Again, through awareness, you're drawing your sit bones down to the front of the mat. And then as you're pressing, spreading your toes, you're opening your shoulders, you're going to engage your left glutes. You're going to engage Mula Bandha more and more to draw your leg towards you. So you're not pulling on the strap because you're pressing into the strap. It's there to help you spread your toes and to create the right action. You could take the strap away and you could use your hand. You could take your hand away, okay? So the strap is providing you a force that you can press into just so that you can understand the right action in the foot. So for want of a better word, energy is a good word because it's the energy in the foot is spreading and moving outward, okay? And that creates a force. The correct action is the key. Take the strap in the right hand and your left hand on your left hip. Keep your pelvis where it is and rotate the right leg out to the side. So you're not going to let your pelvis roll because you're just slowly, carefully rotating your right leg out to the side. Pressing still into the strap so you feel that you'll feel your muscles draw up when you do that. So this isn't about being strong and then breaking through that tightness. This yoga will create strength where in tiny little muscles you might be missing, but it's creating strength and balance, suppleness through all of your muscles. And that creates a perfect, strong posture. Come on back and then lower the leg so it's 90 degrees to the ceiling or less. Turn your leg inward. You're going to take the strap in the left hand, take the leg across you,
And then we're going to do one more rotation. You're going to let your pelvis rotate to the left. So always just going gently, making sure that you don't overstretch, because when you overstretch something else is not being attended for. Okay, so lengthening up through the head, down through your sit bones, and this will get the outer leg and outer hip and the sacral nerve chain. Okay, come on back, bend your knee, and then we're going to take the ball of the left foot in the strap, and your right glutes engaged, sit bones stretching down to the front of the mat, crown of the head lengthening upward, spread your toes. Okay, so now you're going to feel and notice the left hamstrings today compared to the right ones. With the ball of the foot spreading into the strap, you're going to use mula bandha. So these muscles drawing in and up from the tail to the navel to pull the leg towards you. So these days, a lot of people call it core muscles. The core muscles are pulling your leg. Okay, in yoga, it's very specific. It's specifically called mula bandha, which means the root lock in the body, because there's more. When you do other exercises, which I'll show you later, you use the whole abdominal wall, and that's called uddiyana bandha. So you use mula bandha all the time. All the time. It's the center of the body, and it's the thing that moves you the most. When you move from that source, you have unlimited potential there. You can't overwork the mula bandha. Take your left hand, rotating the left leg out to the side. So you're starting to feel that it might be a different experience from what you thought it was. You're not ever going sloppy, ever. The sense of relaxation comes from releasing the nerves that have been pinched, from expanding rather than contracting, and from finding freedom through posture. Okay, and so there's energy involved, but the energy is coming from the right places all the time, so you're not using tension. Tension is exhausting. Come on back and lower the leg to 90 or less. Turn the leg inward and take it across you. So as we go along, you'll learn more and more how to master your own energy. And if you've already got a good handle on that, you can always learn how to be better. So one of the most powerful things you can do is pranayama, which is a deep breathing practice. So we won't be able to get into that, obviously, in the beginner sort of the session, but those things can really change how you create energy. And that's what you need when you want to go to another level of performance. Come on back and bending your knee. Okay, so we are going to come up and cross your legs, flexing your feet. So this is a good place to start, and everyone has different rotation, bone rotation in their hip. And then if you're a cyclist, your movement is always going forward, so these muscles really get tight. So start there. If you can't sit up with crossed legs, you're going to sit up on with a straight lower back. Then you're going to get up on a block and do it. And if you don't feel any stretch, you're going to have your right leg on top of your left, and this foot will be pulled in, the left one, and that might allow you to sit there with both your cheeks down on the floor. If you feel like you want to try this, but your bum's off the floor, that's okay. Just try to start to apply some energy down with the right hip. Then if you can sit like this, you might want to wiggle your foot out, and this is the end range of motion, a 90-degree angle with both legs. Okay, so from here, we're going to place your right hand to the side and open both shoulders, and you're going to just control lowering your right elbow down to keep your hips down on the floor, and your left palm's going to face down, and your shoulder blade moves down your back as you still lowering your knees. So you're lowering your knees, you're pressing your sit bones down, and you're opening your shoulders, you're drawing your shoulder blade down, and then come on up, and then the left side. So keeping both shoulders square to the front, lowering into the, you might be here and holding yourself there and just working on your knees lowering, that's fine. So you want to feel your way through it. Again, going slowly. And then we're going to come up. And then we're going to take your right arm up and your left arm under. And if you can't reach your fingers, take the strap behind your back. So you're holding the strap between your hands. So this is a really important stretch to be able to do. And you want to be working towards being able to do it if you can't. Much harder for the men. Okay, roll your left shoulder back, and then this right shoulder blade draws down, not up. The blade comes down, but you want to think about the blade moving down about 80% and about 20% of the right elbow lifting up. So the blade is actually down, but there's a resistance in a feeling of the elbow moving up. And that's how you get that stretch in opposite directions. That is so classic yoga practice. Release that. And then you're going to roll your pelvis forwards. So take all of your hip bones and feel them tipping forwards. You've got your mulla bandha engaged. And as you do that, you'll feel that you're controlling the movement with the center of the body again, the muscles of your pelvis underneath and inside. And then you see, if you put your hands forward, you can take them away because all the energy is in the middle of the body again. So you don't overstretch. It also is the physiological center of the body. It allows you to feel, is this far, back off a little bit. It starts to make you intuitive with your body. It tells you what to do. And then come on up, pressing your sit bones down, other leg, crossing your legs, getting on a block or not, left leg on top. Left elbow down, shoulders stay open to the front, right palm down, shoulder blade down, but you're still reaching out through your hand. Blade is moving down, hands moving away, opposite directions again. Come on up and leaning to the right and knees moving down, toes pulling back, shoulders moving wide, so everything's got their direction. Blade moving down, but the hand moves away. And that's that supple action. Left elbow up, right under. Okay, roll your shoulder back. Now, if you can, and if you feel like, okay, I can grab my fingers just, but you can't grab your fingers without your left blade lifting. It's better to take strap and work at that point, getting your blade down, getting the right action is always the key. Focus on that first. Get the right action first. Right shoulder rolling back, blade moving down with a little resistance of the elbow lifting up. And then release that, rolling your pelvis forwards, getting everything in the right position. You don't always have to go to your maximum to get a result. Okay, so it's more about getting everything in your body in the right action in the pose. And start with that. And then some days, you might have done a really big ride and you might be really exhausted, but you might have hurt your knee a little bit. That's what I'm talking about. And the next day when you go to your mat, you want to be backing off some of the range and figuring out what went wrong in your body through the knowledge I'm passing on to you. You might notice that your sideways is really tight and your lower back on the right side or something. Calm on up.
or your foot might be really tight as well. Okay, releasing that, we're going to take your legs into a straddle. So taking your legs out as wide as you can, and this is a groin stretch, classic middle splits or second splits. And you're going to take your legs as wide as you can, but with your pelvis down, okay? So again, don't be rolled in the lower back. Take your legs closer and get your lower back straight first, okay? If you are having to sit on a block for this, that's okay, but you've got to really make sure that you don't lock your knees behind your knees. So your sit bones lightly pressed down, they're the roots of the pose, your heels lightly pressed down, your kneecaps draw up, and you want to think about drawing up your inner thigh muscles. So this is an active stretch, for want of a better word. That's why the poses have names. They're more like postures than sort of stretches. They're creating flexibility and strength at the same time. They're creating long, supple inner thigh muscles and inner hamstrings rather than, again, just sitting there, legs floppy, which is very damaging because if you're not drawing up your muscles, then they're relaxed and turned off. And if they're turned off, then you'll be stretching your ligaments. And that leads to problems. Okay? Releasing that. Come and place the soles of your feet together now. And you're going to put your little toe and heel together. And again, most importantly in this one is to get your spine again. So sitting up, whether you're on a block or off the block, but with your lower back straight. And then you're going to press down your sit bones and rotate your thighs out. So at no point you to hold your breath in, okay, even if you're feeling like you're very tight and it can make you sweat, just breathe out. Start with that, rotating the thighs out. So again, your inner thighs are being lengthened by activating your outer hip muscles. This is an external rotation again. Okay, releasing that. And then you're going to place your right leg forward, your left foot on the other side of your right knee. Take your right elbow in front as best as you can of this left knee. Then broaden your shoulders and you're going to place your left hand behind your back. And you're going to press down your sit bones. That's why you've got to have that long spine first. Press down your left foot and your right heel and you're going to rotate to the left. And you're pressing down lightly. Pressing down lightly. And looking forward, other side. So that's a really important thing. In yoga, we call this the roots of the pose. Right foot crosses over left, pressing down your sit bones, opening your shoulders. There's different qualities of energy that are more effective. So the more you want to turn, you actually have to breathe out and your rib cage will just deflate and easily turn to the right. Because there are muscles of exhalation and you don't have to do that in order for it to be more effective. It will be less effective because it's fighting it. So going with it is easier and more effective. All right, so from there, we're going to come on your front and we're going to start your quads and hip flexors. So lying on your front, we're going to bend your right knee and you're going to take your foot with your hand, pressing down your hip bones lightly into the floor and bring your tail down and under. Engage your glutes just a little bit. And if you can't grab your foot, take like the strap or a towel around your foot and hold the towel, keep your hip down, and then start to draw the foot in towards your hip, okay? So your quads will be really tight if you're a cyclist. You get quite bunched up, especially the more you do, remember,
the more you will get tight, okay? Or the more you have to undo. So pressing down your hips, taking your foot in. Then we're going to increase the stretch if you can take your foot to your bottom. If you can get the full range there, then you're going to come up on your elbow. Still, most importantly, you have to have your hips down. And then you've got to increase the glutes because it's a stronger stretch and they're going to support and align your quads and hip flexors as you put your hand on the top of your foot, and particularly try and get your thumb on your big toe and draw your foot down towards your heel, down towards the outside of your hip now. If you can actually do this, especially riding bike, you'll relieve your outer quad muscle a lot, which is really tight. Okay, release that. And then other side, left foot comes in. Okay, so you've got both your hips down, so the pelvis is level and even, tail down and under. You've got your mula bandha lightly, glutes a little bit, and you're taking your foot towards your hip with your hip down. If you can get your hip all the way down, stay with that. If you're still working on it, come up to your right elbow, both hips pressing down. You can tuck your toes or leave it down. Okay, so you bring your heel towards the outside of your hip. Glutes engaged to align and lengthen your hip flexor quad. Okay, releasing that. Okay, we're going to come up to your knees and I'm going to place, we did this the last few times, you're going to place your hands as best as you can. Okay, they might not go all the way, that's fine. So that your fingers point towards your knees. And we're also going to tuck your toes under like this. Just start a little bit of a toe stretch right away. Okay, so it's really important that you don't lock your joints. So a straight arm is not a hyperextended arm. Okay, so you're going to unlock your elbow, just a little tiny bend, and then you're going to broaden your shoulders and just press down lightly your hands into the mat. Okay, and this, remember, as I've explained before, is really important stretch, nerve stretch. Whatever's happening in your arm comes from your back and your neck down through your hand. And whatever happens in your hand will travel up your arm into your back and your neck. Okay, so drawing your shoulder blades gently down your back is very important here. Okay, because you always do this as a cyclist, contracting these muscles all the time, your hand on the bars. All right, take your hand the other way, and then we're going to tuck your toes under, hips point back, and then you're going to lift your hips up and back into a downward dog. So the main thing in downward dog is to have a long, straight spine. Don't have your legs straight and your back rounded, okay? So in downward dog, you have to bend your knees first in order to get your spine straight. Aim for that first. Have a look in the mirror, see if you've got a straight back. Your shoulder blades go down and forward and your hips lift up and back. Now, we're going to lower your knees down and we're going to put them down the top of your feet. Then we're going to lift up and you're going to roll your pelvis backwards. So a backwards tilt in the pelvis experiences your hip bones rolling towards your ribs, okay? Down and under, like you're tucking your butt under, okay? Mula bandha, glutes activate a lot in a back bend because that's what we're about to do. Press down the shins gently. And once you've got that, because as you tilt under, your lower back lengthens down, okay? And then your sternum, which is the center of your rib cage, goes, and which is your rib cage is attached to your upper back. So sternum goes forwards and upwards, or you can think about it as if you were just lying on a ball, like really curving there, lifting up through this sternum. I'm going to get you to take all the backs of your thighs, rotating your shoulders out. And then, if you can feel, you might be able to take hold of your heels. Try not to hinge at the hips for this. This is not a hinge in the hip, this one. This is called Ustrasana, the camel posture. Lift up your sternum, up to the ceiling. I'm always drawing in Mula Bandha, constantly pressing down the shins with same energy and opening your shoulders, stretching bicep tendon, open your throat, relax your head, and then come on up. And you're going to place your hands forward, and then you're going to round your back the other way, flexing your back. So you're going to roll your hips again towards your ribs, only now you're going to curve your upper back. So instead of your ribs being open like they were in the back bend, they're now, the muscles around your ribs are pulled in to draw the ribs into your back, flexing your back. Draw your shoulders wide, then your blades down, and then come back to neutral. And then you're going to tuck your toes and lift your hips up and back into neutral back, downward dog. Blades going down and forward, hips lifting up and back. Your hand mirrors your blade, down and forward. Press down this part of your hand, the base of your fingers. Pressing down lightly there and reaching forward. And then lower your knees down, lower your shins down. And we're going to go again. Roll your hips under, engage your glutes, wrap your shoulders back, lift your sternum up. And if you can take your heels, this is the end range of motion. Lifting your sternum. And this is a massive stretch for your hip flexors. Coming up, and all of your obliques and also your psoas, because it's attached, that your psoas major and minor have attachments on your lower spine and also on your diaphragm. So back bending is crucial for you to feel good and to create balance in your body. Rounding your back, hips rounding under, shoulders moving wide, blades moving down, soft elbows, you don't lock your elbows. Lift your sternum up into your back and then come back to neutral and tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back. You should have felt in that second one, you already feel more supple in your spine. When you start to feel stiff in your back, you really got to pay attention and do some yoga, work on your yoga. Okay, lower your knees, or you're going to step left leg forward into a lunge. A forward lunge, parallel lunge. Hips go down and under like we did in that back bend. So you're rolling your hips towards your ribs, glutes engaged, and you're pressing down your left foot as if you're going to jump off your feet. And then we're going to lower your right knee into a kneeling psoas stretch. Still got the pelvis rolling under. Still got your glutes engaged. And you've got to engage your glutes because they're right now the opposing muscles to align and lengthen your psoas and your other hip flexors. Okay, stretching your toes for the moment with your toes tucked under. So your foot is a mirror of your hip and your hip a mirror of your foot. So if you start to get a tight foot, it could be coming from your hip or vice versa. They mirror each other, which is great because you can always start at one end and help the other. Then your option today is to gently, okay, now this is only if you are more of a supple person already, otherwise stay in that other stretch that we were just doing. I'm going to give you the option of gently taking your foot, okay, hip down, more strong engagement of the glutes, and you can see now as well, we're also bringing your left knee forward of your ankle. So this is a bit of a double whammy stretch. Deeper stretch. Okay, release your foot we're going to lift your hips up and back. Up and back. Sit bones up and back, toes pointing forward for the moment. Open your shoulders, pressing down the big toe, lifting your kneecaps up. And then you're going to bend this left knee and you're going to sit down, pressing down your left heel. So this one, the bent knee. Okay, so you're pressing down your heel, stretching through your Achilles and your calf. Making sure you're not leaning forward into your knee though. You're pressing the weight of your body is moving down through your pelvis. Okay. Okay. Step back to downward dog. Hips up and back, shoulder blades down and forward. Okay, right foot forward, left leg straight. So wherever you find where you are very stiff or very weak, it's a good thing because by eliminating that, you'll create a lot of freedom and release pain in your body. Lowering your knee, you found an answer. Okay, so being able to do all of the postures and is something to work towards in a, there's no hurry, but working towards it will fix pretty much everything in the end. Making sure that the balanced exercise. Okay. And relieve things that can't be fixed, that need to be managed. Okay. Taking hold of your foot. So, for example, if you have tendonitis, I have tendonitis on my left ankle, injury at 14, and if I don't do yoga, I can barely stand on my foot, especially like dancing, after dancing rehearsals. So that is nodules on the tendon, and they can't really, they can be helped with massage, or so people get tendonitis in the hips, the knees, ankles, elbows, but yoga will help it. It can be managed. Things like that can be managed with yoga. And stretching your hips up and back, right foot forward. Opening your shoulders. So what's this for? Your right hamstrings. Stretching all the way back down the back of your right leg. And then we're going to bend this knee carefully, your right knee, gently placing your left shin down. Energy down with your pelvis. So the right heel is moving down, big toe and heel, getting through the Achilles and also your FHL, your tendon on your big toe to your inner heel that runs to your knee. Okay, carefully coming out of that, placing your knees down. So we've been doing this for a little while, pressing down your shins. Now, use your hands to start to, so remember you're pressing down your shins, spreading your toes, and draw the inside of your legs together, your inner thigh muscles, and then just slowly start to draw your butt down towards your heels. Okay, and some of you might be like really tentative, and a lot of guys will be very stiff in the front of their ankle. So you might be up here, right? And that's fine. Get the right action. Press down your shin. That pulls up the calf, protecting and strengthening your knee as you actually squeezing the knee here. Now, if you can sit all the way, great. Then you want to try Virasana. Knees together, feet apart, and just enough. You're going to take your calves, separate the calves. You're going to take the calves over the bone from the inside to the outside. And you're going to, and so you want to have your feet just beside your hip, as you can see with me, spreading your toes. And it's really important, again, that if you can do this easily, if you have inward rotation of your hip, that you're not just sitting there, that you're pressing down gently your shins, you're pressing down the tops of your feet. So this actively stretches the tendons at the front of your foot and that go to your knee. And then you've got to draw your knees together and the tops of your legs and all along. So the inner thigh muscles, there's 5 of them, and they run along the inside of the thighs. That's why they're called, of the thigh bone. That's why they're called inner thighs. So drawing them in together. Okay, and this pose is called Virasana. And it's uncomfortable, and at first some people think it's a bit scary, but there's no pressure in you you might want to go into halfway. That's fine. Once you get the knowledge and you'll feel how much it does for you, you'll probably want to start doing it. Come forward, and then you'll feel a bit stiff coming out of Virasana, and that's normal. So we're going to tuck your toes, and we then do a downward dog. And you'll feel better, rolling your outside shoulder down. Lifting your hips up and back. Then we're going to go into pigeon pose. So your right leg, you're going to bring forward, and you're going to point your left hip down to the floor. That's the main thing, is that your left hip points down. So you've got to bring this leg in, the right foot, until you can point your left hip down to the floor. That's the main thing to do. The end range of motion is 90 degrees with your foot flexed and your left hip pointing down. Press down the top of your left foot and reach it back, drawing in and up from your tail to your navel. Open your shoulders. And we're stretching your right piriformis and your left psoas. The very things that you work the most on the bike. Lower your knee, other side. Okay, left leg turns out. Okay, because there is other ways that other people have designed other exercises, but this is how you do yoga pose this is how you do pigeon pose in yoga. So other people might find variations, that's fine, but I'm teaching you classic pure yoga where you put your body into the right action, and then over time, practicing that, you might go a little bit more, you're separating the muscles. Press down the top of your right foot, reaching it back. Engage your right glutes, not your left ones. And then that relieves a lot. Because, remember, your sciatic nerve runs through this muscle that we're stretching down your leg. Okay, lower your knee. Carefully coming off your hip. Coming up to standing. Carefully. Okay, so we're going to place your feet 1 meter apart. You're going to turn your right leg out 90 degrees, your left toes in 5 degrees. Unlock your knees. Turn your right thighs out and pull them up without locking your knee again. Press down your big toe, open your toes, press down the toes. Your pelvis is going to press to the left, okay? Like so, keeping your shoulders open to the front. And then you're going to lift your left arm up and your right one down. This is the end range of motion called Trikonasana. This pose, looking up to your left thumb, lengthening out through the crown of the head, and you can see there's no bend in the back because it's a movement from the hip. Then you're going to bring your pelvis down to stand up, and the right toes in 5 degrees, left whole leg, knee and foot 90 degrees out. Unlock your knees, turn the thighs out, pull them up. Pelvis presses to the right. Shoulders are wide, blades are down towards your hips. When I say down, blades move down towards the hip. The blade controls the arm. Down, down. This is the end range of motion. You grab your big toe, pressing down the big toe mound underneath. And bring your pelvis down to come up. Turn your toes forward so you've got the outsides of your feet parallel, toes in a line. And then unlock your knees, pull up your kneecaps, hands on the hip bones, lift from the tail to the sternum, shoulders pressing back,
And you're going to roll your hips forwards, reach your sternum forwards the whole time. So you're pulling in and up from the tail to the sternum, and your hips are rolling forwards. So your sit bones lift straight up to the ceiling. Pressing down through your feet, shoulders moving back, and then bring your pelvis down to stand up. It's a full stretch of your hamstrings. Take hold of your hands, open your shoulders back. One more. Reach your sternum forwards as you roll your pelvis forwards. And bring your pelvis down to stand up. Glutes together, feet together. Thank you very much. I'll see you next week.